Okay, I just got in the room at the risk of asking a question that was already asked. I'd like to ask the doctor if he's a creationist or an evolutionist. And on those lines, if you believe that there's a God or a supreme being. And I do have one or two follow-up questions.
I'm not a creationist, I'm an evolutionist. And I don't think at all that there's any kind of God or devil or supernatural force in the universe. Now, I can be wrong about that, but that's my view, that supernatural things of any kind do not exist.
Okay, for a follow-up question. If you are a creationist, do you believe in the Big Bang Theory, I would imagine? If you agree in the Big Bang Theory, how did the Big Bang happen? Did it come by accident? And I would suppose that you would say that it would. I'm not putting words in your mouth. But if it didn't, how can you explain that it happened?
I am not a creationist, as I understand it. I'm an evolutionist. A creationist thinks there is a God or some supernatural entity creating. Now, as far as the Big Bang Theory, it may well be true. I'm not sure that it's true, but it just happened, and we don't know exactly how it happened. We don't have to know everything. Now, we'll do our best with science and with evolutionary theory to find out. Maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll give a perfect answer to it someday. But if we don't know, that's not awful, terrible, or horrible. It's just a pain in the ass. I'd rather know, but I don't have to know. And I think that most questions like that will ultimately be answered, but some of them may never be answered. So that's too bad. We'll live in doubt without certainty.
Okay, another follow-up. If you are an evolutionist, you have to believe in the Big Bang Theory. So, if so, you haven't explained how the Big Bang Theory happened to be. In other words, you have to be either believe in God or believe in evolution, and you say that you don't believe in God. So then you have to believe in evolution. Well, vis-a-vis gives you the Big Bang Theory. And you say that you don't know whether there was one or not. Well, then how did everything get created? Okay, Jeffrey, final question. How did everything...
I'm an evolutionist, but I don't have to believe in the Big Bang Theory. Probably it's true, but there are several other theories. But assuming that it's true, we don't know exactly how and why it occurred. Maybe it just occurred, maybe it was always this way, we don't know, and we don't have to know, again I say, and certainly if we cop out by saying that God did it, then that explains nothing whatsoever, by saying, blaming it on poor dear deity, God. So therefore we don't have to do anything of the kind, so I'm still an evolutionist. Probably will accept the Big Bang Theory tentatively, at least, and say that things occurred because they occurred. Someday, again, we may find out exactly why they occurred. But if we don't, we don't. I still intend to be a very happy human being, even if I don't know. I certainly don't need any God to blame it on.
Okay, we're going to move on to Frank in just about 30 seconds. One of my hobbies is studying Dr. Ellis's positions and being able to represent them faithfully. Unless I hear an objection from Dr. Ellis, I would like to say that he's not really an atheist. He's not an absolutistic atheist. He's not absolutely sure there is no God. He is a probabilistic atheist. But you know what? If you sat Dr. Ellis down and pressed him, and defined God as a tautology, which is the cause and or maintainer of the universe, whatever that may be, he would then say, yes, there is a God. I once did that with Dr. Ellis, but he asked me to kindly change the term from God to force. Now, Frank, you please ask your question, and Dr. Ellis, if you disagree or want to elaborate on my comment just now, you can do so when you answer Frank's question. Go ahead, Frank.
Thank you. I really was going in a totally different direction, Doctor. I hope you don't mind. My comment and question really had something to do with the fact when I first heard you on the internet at Jeffrey's very first internet soiree, and I had asked you about REBT working with geriatrics, with people who had Alzheimer's, and how to deal with that. If people were not able to make rational changes, could REBT be used in some way to change the irrational beliefs that these people felt when they felt afraid and scared and couldn't even recognize their own face in the mirror? And I wondered if you had any more thoughts on that.
Well, sometimes people are so brain injured with Alzheimer's or something similar that they can't think straight. So therefore we could not show them how to think straight if they can't do it. But the great majority of older people into the 80s as I am and 90s, etc., still think crookedly just as younger people think crookedly. Towards oughts and demands that they must not be disabled, they must not be old, they must have the old people that they had as friends and lovers around them, etc. So in the vast majority of people, we see older people, and I wrote a whole book with Emmett Belton on overcoming your aging problems, and we do very well with them. But there are some people, including younger people, who are very mentally deficient or very brain injured, who think irrationally partly because of their physiological and biological deficiency.
Did we lose some audio here?
One of the things that you had mentioned at that time, Doctor, was to deal directly with the belief system. In other words, those that believed they were unsafe in the place. If I could have so many people make interventions that they were safe, this is a safe place for them and a good place for them and a place for them to be. And and eventually we actually used 15 people per day to make that intervention, that there would be some difference made. The problem is, of course, with memory.
And you're quite right. There are several ways of doing it, and one of the best you just gave. You can show them that they can't have absolute certainty, 100% certainty, that anything, that any person, that any group, that any airplane or automobile is safe. But they can have a very high degree of probability